of remote collar for sit and down. So we're creating a synonym for these words. So we teach our dogs the word sit. We can say Hope sit. Good girl. She knows the verbal command. But her butt popped right back up. She's not understanding a stay. The reality is for things like sitting down, the dog may know it, but they often need some sort of tactile to help them because they might be distracted. The environment's too challenging, and so the verbal alone is not going to work for them. The dog could just be being kind of stubborn regardless of why. We want to make sure we're helping the dog. So I'm going to tell Hope to sit. Remote collar is being applied. Good. When I say good, pressure is turning off. When she completes the behavior, her butt hits the ground. So you can see I'm doing the remote collar and the gentle leash pressure. Break. So we start by teaching our dogs sit, upward pressure, butt hits the ground, break. Now we're doing sit, remote collar, and it was a quick tap because she sat immediately. She now knows it. So this is how you're laying remote collar for sit. And now for down, you may have to, depending on how well your dog knows down, you may have to slide your prong collar, make sure you have the right point of pressure coming from here. And so now we're laying remote collar on top of this. So we're gonna say down, remote collar is on. When I say the command, as soon as her elbows hit the ground, pressure turns off. So I'm pulling down with the prong collar as well as applying the remote collar, and both pressures are turning off at the same time. Break. Good girl. Down. Good. So did you notice the change in order there? So that time I said down and I used the remote collar. I delayed slightly with the leash to see if Hope would figure it out. And then I came in and I just grabbed the leash and helped her get in the down. Great. That's how the dog starts to understand how to turn the remote collar off. So I'm almost giving her a second to go, I heard the word down. I'm feeling that tickle in my neck. It's not turning off. And then I come in and I use the leash to physically show her how to turn off. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna say down, pressure, holding the remote collar. Good girl, Hope, good girl. So you'll notice, even though I grabbed the leash, I actually delayed again and I was really subtle with my leash pressure so I didn't come in because I want her start to figure out, break, good girl. So now let's see if she can do it without leash now. Hope down, remote collar. And so I am bending down to kind of help, and that's a faded cue as well by either pointing to the ground or bending down, good girl. So again, see the difference in the leash guidance. Each repetition, I'm using less and less leash. No, down. Good girl. So look at that. That was no leash guidance. So this dog does not know the remote collar. So just in those repetitions, I just taught her down with remote collar. So you can see, good girl. Break. And what she did that was not right is as soon as she saw me grab the leash, she used that as her release. But she's got to know that she needs to remain in that down until I give her the release word of break. Hope sit. Good. Hope down. No. Down. Good girl. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I gave her the verbal command. She did it. No remote collar, no prong. Great. I asked her to lay down. Gave her the benefit of the doubt. She delayed. She wasn't giving me a crisp response. I marked the lack of response with NO, and then I helped her get it right by adding more information. So when I said no, I then applied the remote collar, and then she started to lay down, and I didn't even need to follow through with the leash guidance. So now again, you see, I'm still kind of doing this weird bend down thing. You don't want that to be part of the behavior. We want to stay upright. Break. Good girl. So now, I'm going to phase out any sort of body cue. Hope down. No, down. Good. So she was relying a lot on my body to bend down to kind of show her to go down. So now we don't want to get stuck in that we have to like bend over and change our position. So I just used my foot and a gentle tap on the leash to give her a little bit of downward guidance. So now I can keep my body upright. Break. Hope, break. Good girl. Good. Hope, down. No, down. Good girl. nutshell, sitting down with the remote collar, but apply the same principle to all the behaviors, right? So as long as you have a good understanding of the basic obedience behaviors and the criteria, you're going to apply the same concept for the most part. Obviously comes a little bit different, but the same kind of process to phase the leash out of the training. So like I said, she's a great example because she's not like Sam. She doesn't know the remote collar. And so just me using synonyms and guidance with my body, the leash, and a verbal command helped her learn how the remote collar relates to the down behavior.